It's called Advanced Answering Techniques. So it is 3 professional people explaining to other people how to answer different questions, a multiple variety of questions. Advanced Answering Techniques.
Hello and welcome to Advanced Answering Techniques. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Josh. I'm joined by 2 other co-hosts, and we do a podcast here where we take listener questions. They send them in. We answer them. We put the podcast out. One of them is Caleb, and I will ask Caleb a question. Caleb, what is your wife's typical response when you cry in public?
She just kind of moves away.
Gabe is another one of our co-hosts. Gabe, what's your wife's response when you cry in public?
She usually apologizes for whatever she's done.
And what my wife does is she rolls her eyes and then mouths, "Stop." Guys, anything we need to deal with right up front here? I didn't think so. Let's get to the question. It is, once again, 2 times in a row, back to back. It's a double header of joy.
One of my son's teachers came up and told me that they were doing, that he wasn't doing the assignment correctly for the in-class thing. They were supposed to be taking notes, and she said he wasn't really writing in the note box. And then she turned the page over, and he'd been making stick figures. And I got really excited when she told me that, because I said, "Oh, you should take a closer look." I said, "He is really good at stick figures." And then I walked away, and then thought, oh, maybe she was saying of course he should be taking notes in class. I agree. There's nothing against it. I felt so like, messed that up. And I just am wondering, how do you guys take criticism?
How do we take criticism? Sometimes I think often people don't get enough credit for doing really excellent stick figures. So,
Yeah.
like when you're really good at it, I think that can just be passed over. So I do kind of agree with Joy a little bit here, that the teacher probably should pay a little more attention to excellent stick figure work.
Right. Well, especially if he's been drawing stick figures and
Yeah.
they're getting better.
Yeah.
And they're maybe getting closer to looking like words.
You think that's the improvement that Joy is noting, is that they're starting to look...
These stick figures are about to be words, and that would be a good thing to notice.
Yes. I mean, it's like also so people do all kinds of note taking,
Yeah.
different kinds of note taking. Maybe those different stick figures are actually notes.
That's what I was wondering that too. If maybe they were notes, like it's sort of a, you know how they'll have for a movie, what are they called?
Titles.
Storyboards.
Oh,
yeah,
storyboards.
storyboards.
They're called storyboards. Maybe these are sort of storyboards of a lecture.
Yes.
Something
Yes.
like that. And maybe the teacher should spend a little time looking a little more closely.
Well, there's all different kinds of learners,
Right.
you know? So,
Kinesthetic, someone who learns with their hands. Auditory learners, people who learn by hearing.
yeah.
Visual learners, people who learn by seeing.
Yeah.
Olfactory.
Olfactory
I
learners.
was going to say masticatory.
Yep. People who learn by eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like John the Revelator.
Yeah.
It was honey in his mouth, but it turned bitter as gall in his stomach, I believe.
And he learned a lot from
Yeah.
that.
You will learn.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I like to take my criticism with a cup of water.
Yep. That's a prescription criticism.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, you know, it's hard to just take it. I don't like to chew it.
It doesn't taste good.
It doesn't taste good. And I usually it's quite a bit.
Yeah. There's
So
a
it's hard
lot.
if it was just one criticism,
Yeah.
then I could maybe get it down without a glass of water.
But it's
It's usually like a handful of criticism.
Heavy
I've got
dose.
yeah.
Glug glug.
It's not only a handful multiple criticisms, but size of horse pill. These are horse pills.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, it is. I guess I was wrong. It is one big pill. You're right.
But it is a handful.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a horse's handful.
This pill is a bit of a handful.
Yep.
I thought it would be good to maybe set the stage a little bit, just thinking about criticism and what the problem is with taking criticism. And I think that criticism has two poles. This is what makes criticism hard. It has two poles. One is good faith criticism, and then the other is malicious criticism, right?
Right.
And then, of course, at either of these, that's sort of that's as a person receiving criticism, those are your two major concerns. Am I getting this in good faith, or is somebody kind of coming after me, and just doesn't have my best interest at heart? And then there's all these kind of additional parameters that might accompany those. But I think the main parameter is that the criticism in good faith or malicious can be either true or false. Mm-hmm. So somebody who doesn't have your best interest in mind might tell you something true, or they might tell you something false. And somebody who does have your best interest in mind might tell you something true or might tell you something false. And we, being limited human beings, have such a hard time knowing which is which.
Yeah.
And judging. That's what makes criticism difficult, is that frequently you will feel you have your default response, right, to somebody telling you that you're doing something wrong. And that's what makes human life kind of an impenetrable fog of suffering, I think.
So this might take us off the beaten path a little bit. But when you said that criticism has two poles, I started to think about it skiing.
Criticism is yeah. Go ahead.
Well, so then if so
Is it
that's
downhill? I mean, if it's
Could
Is
be
it
cross country,
slalom?
right downhill.
backcountry skiing.
What's the difference between cross and back?
Backcountry is usually going to be sort of more of a mix. You're going to be climbing, but then you might have an opportunity to do a little downhill as well. So you'll have skins on your skis, and those will help you climb. Then you can remove those skins, and then you'll be able to whiz down the hill.
So cross country skiing would just be like you find a flat field where there's no opportunity for downhill.
Your ability to control yourself, because cross country skis do not have an edge. Your ability to control yourself once you pick up speed is very limited.
There's no edge on a cross country ski.
There's right. They sort of blend into the universe at the end.
A phenomenon that has not been explained.
So it's really like the world is moving past you. Right. You put your feet into the skis and then you push the world past you. And that's sort of how you deal with criticism.
Okay. Can we unpack that a little
Let's
bit?
unpack
You
it.
have each pole of criticism and you try to take the good out of the bad and you push yourself past it. And you move forward. Despite the criticism.
So you just go ahead and use both.
Move.
You use both poles.
You
To
use
propel
both
you
poles to
for
propel you
yourself.
forward in life.
Yes.
And hopefully that, is a good direction.
Right.
Honestly, hopefully it's downhill. It's at some point.
Yes.
Hopefully it isn't just an eternal expanse of no grade, perfectly flat
But if it's
snow.
cross country, it doesn't matter because these are like quantum,
Yeah, you're right. When you
devices.
when you pull the
The
world
skis
past
themselves are.
Right.
you. Yeah. When you pull the world past you and there's a hill, there's no feeling of is there no feeling of like going up the hill, I guess? Because you're pulling the world past
I
you.
don't ski. I simply
Yeah.
couldn't answer it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of the old Chuck Norris joke about doing push-ups.
Yeah.
And that Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He does push-downs. He pushes the world down.
Pushes
Right.
the world down. That's
Those do qualify as old now, the Chuck Norris
they're old.
repertoire. They're old jokes.
But
They're
I
old.
would say, so we could, but let's add to the
Yeah.
repertoire and say when Chuck Norris skis,
Yeah.
he pushes the world past
Yeah.
him.
Well, your contention was that's what everybody does. It doesn't really make Chuck Norris special.
Is Chuck Norris like everyone else?
He's an everyman. Suddenly, that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that he's different?
So
He's
he's
built
very
different.
He
He's built
showed us
different.
the way.
Yeah. He demonstrated a different way for us to be human.
Yeah.
A new way.
A new way.
Somebody who, even when he doesn't have a mustache, still kind of looks like he has a mustache.
It's like I was looking
Inexplicably.
the other day in church. I was looking at a guy and I was like, that guy just looks like he has a mustache, regardless.
Even though he doesn't. Yeah. Well,
sometimes he does.
takes all sorts.
More quantum kind of stuff there.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's Schrodinger's mustache.
Yeah. The world is his mustache.
How do you guys deal with criticism most typically? When you're criticized, what do you think that's Joy's question. And and again, going back to kind of my initial thing there, we have our default settings when it comes to
Right.
criticism.
I think it's so much of it, of your response is determined by, you might as well, rather than asking how do you take criticism, you might as well ask, how insecure are you? Because that's really what it comes down to. And for me, I take criticism poorly because I'm very insecure. So that would be my response.
Your response is you take criticism poorly. Criticism and insecurity, I mean, that's definitely just a tight relationship there. I've seen it in my own life, and I don't want to talk about it. Caleb, how about you?
Well, for me, I'd say I agree with Gabe, but it's not a blanket kind of insecurity. There's
It's
things
true.
that I'm insecure about that if then I'm critiqued on it, oh no. If I'm just starting off making clay pots and someone critiques,
You can
what
hold
I'm
that with a
doing-
pretty loose hand.
oh, that's
Yeah.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
learning,
Yeah.
But let's say someone is critiquing, what am I good at? Just give me a moment.
Hold on,
here.
hold on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think
Yeah,
too. I'm
let's
gonna.
think.
No.
Not that.
No.
I guess I
Oh.
would say it is a blanket kind of
No.
insecurity. I guess I would say most things. Yeah, I am
Well,
gonna-
there are things that you have done, and you have some background, and think, you know what, I'm not good at that,
yeah,
and that might be a little more insecure than maybe I'm really good at making pots.
yeah. I guess it is a blanket yeah. So yeah,
Or are
okay.
you more
if-
insecure about like things that where you're like not sure yet, where there's the potential that maybe you're really good at this, and then you find out you're not.
Right. So that's the trick, right? I guess it is. So it's not a blanket insecurity. It's just like I guess I don't. It doesn't bother me that much.
That sounds more accurate.
It doesn't bother me that much because I'm not really good at anything. So I'm like, well, yeah, anyone can say anything about anything I do.
Yeah.
You know?
In some ways, there's a security in having basically failed at everything.
Yeah, having no skills.
And there's a kind of security in that.
Right. Then you're just,
You don't have to wonder.
no big deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not how you take notes. That's okay. I'm doing a new kind of, they do these like cloud notes. You do like take notes with clouds.
No, I don't know about that.
It's with the clouds.
What I got, so I only read a headline and it said cloud note taking. And so, yeah, I was, oh, this is easy. You listen and then, draw some clouds. And so
That is easy.
that was one thing I was pursuing that I was like, oh, this will work.
I'd say
and
clouds are kind of hard to draw.
cumulonimbus,
Like a good cloud.
cirrus cloud, stratus.
Well, and definitely once you get into the different categories of cloud,
Yeah.
there are some that are just dreadful.
How do you
No.
even represent that on
Yeah.
a page?
Thunderhead.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then I had to make a key to make me be able to understand it later. I did have to make a key that was like cumulonimbus in this context means this is where you should put your peas in a garden.
Okay.
This means peas in a garden.
Peas and
You have a little,
A little legend at the
Little
top,
legend.
just so I could actually understand it later. And that did make it easy though to take a bunch of notes.
right.
And this reminds me of something my daughter told me yesterday. After using the toilet to go pee, she said, "Dad, I know what you should dress up as for Halloween." And I asked her, "What should I dress up as?" And she said, "You should dress up as a pea." And I had to clarify. I had to ask her to clarify. Do you mean like urine, or do you mean like a vegetable, like pea? And she goes, like a vegetable. like I was completely, in the
Off
wrong,
base.
Yeah.
off base by using the context.
How would you dress up as urine?
Right. I mean, I didn't want to have to get into that with her.
Yeah.
But with
And
me,
I'm glad I didn't have to.
But
With-
now,
oh,
but now
with
that you have
me.
an opportunity to get into it with Caleb.
yellow shirt, yellow pants.
That's just going to be mustard, right?
see, I was gonna say you should make yourself into a cup,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then you have
Like
like,
a
a
s-
yellow
like a
liquid.
Like
in
a
there.
specimen.
Yeah, like a specimen. cup.
sample.
Like sample,
Yeah.
yeah. Specimens, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
accurate, but
because otherwise, if it's just like a pint glass,
no, that's good.
you
I'll keep
order
that
a
in mind.
lemonade.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll run it by her,
Yeah,
and see what she thinks. But I don't know. I might just be going as a pea for Halloween.
How
this
about
year.
How about you could still do the sample jar, and it would be sort of a yellow liquid with a single pea.
Pea, yeah,
floating-
right,
floating
right.
in it. Yeah.
sort of poetic.
Yeah. Kind
Get
of
both of them,
both.
both in the same idea. But anyway, so you're cloud note taking, and you're learning, and this is how you retain the
Yeah, and
information.
then someone looks at it and says, "That's not very good," and I go, "Well, okay,
Yeah.
that's."
I mean,
makes sense.
That's a good. It kind of falls into that defense of like, well, I didn't really care about it anyway. Like,
Yeah.
that's that's a pretty good
That is what I find myself saying a lot
mechanism. Yeah,
about a lot of things.
right.
Yeah.
I didn't really care about that.
If I
anyway.
do something and there's no response, and I'm like, "Oh, maybe I do care about that a little bit." But if there's negative response, and it's like, I don't care about it.
all it does is proves me that I shouldn't have to care about this at all.
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
Hmm.
I hope that's not my car.
It could be.
I'll go check. Sorry.
Yeah.
no,
that's
you're fine. You're fine. No, let's keep going, Josh. We can talk about. I found a Lego in my shoe just now.
Oh, it's what kind of a Lego? Was
It's
it?
it's a clone trooper body piece.
Body piece of a clone trooper.
No arms, no head.
Yep.
Dismembered clone trooper.
Okay, back into it.
We kept going.
We did, and
Okay, great.
it turned out that Caleb had a Lego in his shoe.
A Lego in his shoe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not.
Did you mean to put it there?
Yes. I thought I'd show you guys.
You wanted to put it there to show off.
Yeah. So this is the kind of stuff I have.
I'm not that impressed by it.
I
No?
would be more impressed if it did have arms.
No, it has
That
no
was-
arms, no head.
I'm working on that.
Yeah. One
Yeah.
day.
One day.
One day there'll be one arm.
Maybe check your other shoe. You might have arms in it.
Good. I didn't put it in there. So.
Okay. Well, you should have thought of that.
Well, you know what? You know what I'm going to say about that? I don't really care.
Interesting.
Probably one of the people that I know who handles criticism least well is our brother Tristram. I think you guys would agree. He's very thin-skinned, but one of his bigger problems is he has very delicate capillaries in his nose and in his eyes. And so if his blood pressure changes substantially, which is something that happens when a person is criticized, they can become agitated. It just he just starts pouring blood out of his nose
Yeah.
and sometimes out of his eyes.
Yeah. You know, so yeah, we're careful.
We have to be very careful, and that's
One time when I thought it was important to critique him, I brought some plasma with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, he is generally anemic
Yeah.
and in need of transfusion.
This is going to be about a 2 pints criticism.
Yep.
Here.
You start to think in those categories.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, it's made more difficult because, you know, he is a magician and his wife influenza. If he's trying out a new coin trick or something with her and she isn't amazed, that's just going to, you know, spraying blood
Yeah.
everywhere, all over everything. And so she's careful. She's well stocked with plenty of extra blood. And then also they have a room in their house that they've kind of agreed, like, this is where we try out new tricks. It's fully tiled. It's got drains on the floor.
Yeah.
Easy to spray down.
Good. Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those things where you have to feel for influenza. She is going to, you know, this is what she lives with. She deals with this all the time. And of course, he's suspicious that because they have such a track record of him showing her a new trick, her not being impressed, him
Trick record.
him basically bleeding out, that they are like, that's like a pattern in their relationship now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
And on the floor.
and so she's going to be pretty you know, anxious whenever this is happening, and then her reaction's she's probably overdoing it or looking for the right way to strike a balance with a response.
Right.
It's just, that's a tough situation to be in. That's kind of an example of just one of how being thin-skinned can be hard on those around you
Definitely.
Right.
and on
Definitely.
yourself.
I mean, and let's just say that Tristram is less than intuitive about how to clean up the blood.
Right. Yes.
And so he's getting like I saw him get a dish, not a dish pan, a dust pan.
right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he was trying to clean it up with
Yeah.
that. And I was like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then,
Get the squeegee.
more to deal with after
Yeah.
that, right?
Right. Now you've got, it's kind of like the Cat in the Hat. Now
Yes.
you've got a filthy dustpan.
I had thought of that before, that it's hanging out at his house like a cat in the hat kind of situation. And which is fun for a little bit.
Yeah.
Thing one, thing two,
Right.
you know, but then, mom's dress is covered in blood.
And now, oh my, it's even all over. It's absolutely soaking through all of the snow outside.
Yeah, and then we gotta throw this. That's cat in the hat too, but
Yeah. I don't think it's called Cat in the Hat 2.
the cat in the hat returns.
I think that's
Yeah.
the return of the cat.
Well, I don't care about that. So
That's handy. Do you guys want to hear a poem or a story?
Is it a poem or a
I'll
story?
hear a story.
It's somewhere.
I've heard
it's a
enough of your
story.
poems.
Yeah, it's a story. It's called Criticism. I liked it, but I thought it was a little too long, said Jill after she finished watching Rick's short film. Rick made a face at this. What could I even cut? Rick questioned. The middle part dragged on a bit. But give me an actual example of what I could cut, Rick pressed. Maybe some of the part with his dad? Oh, you mean the part where we established the main character's pathos? I guess I can see why you didn't like it. I said I liked it. A pause. Don't worry about the middle. It's good, offered Jill. Oh, okay, great, thanks, Rick said sincerely. Rick really was sincere, and he stopped worrying about the middle part and believed Jill when she said it was good.
That is not very relatable. I don't really get where you're coming from there.
Not at all.
Not really.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of just an exploration of the potential, sharing something with a partner.
You also haven't experienced this.
I feel like
Oh.
if I say that I did or I didn't,
Right.
then it's kind of like, that might taint the audience perception of what's going on
of
here.
what it was.
Right.
Mm.
So, that's up to you to determine, to try to discern whether this is something that I've experienced.
Well, once you said it was his partner, then I was like, okay, makes more sense. They're like partners in crime or in a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a relationship. It's a.
No, I was using it in the term that we use the word a lot these days.
So,
do you mean?
that I usually do.
Yeah.
What?
Just
Like
when I
a
say
life partner.
when I say
A life partner?
Yeah, when I say my partner, when I'm
Yeah.
talking about my, how we talk.
Yeah.
Just how guys talk.
It's
how
called
guys
cowboy revivalism.
Right.
Partner.
Partner. But
right.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, now I don't understand. I did for a little bit when I was mistaken. But now that I'm not mistaken, I completely don't understand.
You don't understand.
Don't understand.
But do you care?
Nope.
I have a poem too. I might as well go ahead and read it. Here it is. My pastor's name is Habeas Scrimshaw, and he's got all kinds of advice for you if you go to couples counseling. If your wife says that you get mad if she puts the PlayStation controller on the top shelf in the kitchen cabinet because she can reach it without getting a chair and you can't, he will, 1, laugh at you, and then 2, tell you that you shouldn't get so mad at him for laughing. It seems like he doesn't even know the Bible, because ask yourself, did our Lord laugh at Zacchaeus? And then ask yourself, did Goliath laugh at David? And whose side should we be on? Should we be on the side of godless giants? Thank you.
So your wife is like is a godless giant.
She wasn't laughing, was she? In the story, it was the
It was
pastor.
my pastor,
Habeas
Habeas
Scrimshaw.
Scrimshaw, and she was.
We didn't get any description of his stature though.
We don't really know, and it's hard to say.
really, because you meet him when he's sitting down.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, and when he stands up, he's standing up way in front of everybody on a little platform.
Yeah.
And
your Cheech,
at our church,
your Cheech has a
at my church,
has a genie, one of those genie lifts, right?
there is a genie lift at the church.
A snorkel?
You like Michael Jackson used on stage,
Right.
Well, I was thinking of the. I'm not going to say no,
Right.
but
Good.
But I was thinking of the one that you can rent from the big equipment store.
Yeah, well, it is one of those, but he does use it the way that where at a really important when he's trying to emphasize a point. When he's trying to emphasize a point of the sermon, he'll ascend with the lift.
yeah.
And then he does is it the smooth criminal lean at certain
Yep.
points?
He goes up, and then if he doesn't have a good point to come back down fast, he just kind of slowly descends as he continues his sermon.
Yep, that's right. He'll kind of ratchet the tension down a little bit. And
Right.
He'll descend.
Yeah,
And
like-
then
yeah, sinners in the hands of an angry God.
all the way up. Whenever he does
And then,
John Edwards' famous "Sinners in the Hands of an Angry Gods."
but then he'll, talk about how the grace of God is
Dropping
eternal
slow.
and- yes. God's grace falls upon the goodness of God falls upon both the wicked and
The just and the
just and
unjust.
the unjust. And then he slowly comes back down to
Yeah,
eye level.
yeah. To kind of bring that point home.
And it was good that your church did think to make the back of the church so tall, because
Sort of a vaulted ceiling back there.
you did have to get another pastor because at first it wasn't made that way, I guess, and he was using
He
it.
was using
He
it. He just went
squashed
right
himself.
through.
Yeah.
That was a sad day.
Yeah.
But his
We're-
point stood.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers that sermon.
Yeah, right. It was indelible.
Mm-hmm.
It was sinners in the hands of an angry God.
He was doing that one, yeah.
Our congregation requires a shepherd with specific skills. Sort of a second nature
Yeah.
ability to use this scissor lift.
And some people are mad that the word genie is so
Right.
prominent
Prominent.
there. We don't believe in genies.
We don't believe in genies.
God's not a
They're-
genie who grants you wishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does elevate the worship.
Okay, Gabe.
And well, and I like it. Like some Sundays, the deacons will get involved and they'll have big fans, and they're sort of blowing,
Yeah,
and his hair is whipping in the wind,
I was
much in the way Michael Jackson did.
I was distracted one week when I visited your church, and they had the first time he did it, he rocketed up.
Yeah.
There was the word that he used to rock it up was on a big banner.
Yeah.
That kind of extended up with him. But then when he came back down, then one of the deacons, there was a couple deacons, and I guess they were new at this job, but they were trying to replace the banner with another one, and it was so loud, and they started arguing. They actually got into a fist fight, and they were kind of tussling about while he was still trying to do the sermon. And then the next time he rocketed up, there was nothing there, and everyone was just sort of, it didn't land like the other time.
It's been a work in progress, and so the replacing the banners sort of ad hoc, that we let go of that as
Yeah.
as
It
sort
works
of a
better now.
necessity. It's if they are going to do something like that, it'll be done with a projector with transparencies,
Right.
Yeah, instead
Kind
of
of flashes
a
up
physical.
there.
Yeah.
It's a bare banner
Yeah.
that then it rockets up, and then it flashes up the word that he's
Yeah.
emphasizing.
But isn't it so rewarding to see it really take shape? To see this,
Yeah.
the final form of this incredibly captivating style of preaching to be taking shape and being refined.
Absolutely. It feels like, this church thing might actually sort of end up being something.
Right.
Yeah.
When you watch the majesty,
Yeah, and it's
the majesty of a pastor,
yeah.
deftly working.
and it's really
a
reassuring
genie-
too, because
genie
a lot
scissor
of
lift.
people will criticize the church, say that it's just to get money from people,
Right.
and stuff like that. And obviously, there's money involved.
Oh, yeah, you
with
do,
this
yeah.
endeavor,
Yeah.
but nobody's getting up on that scissor lift doing all this unless they are really passionate
About
feel
Right.
called to do it.
You have to
Right.
be. You really have to be called to want to deliver a sermon from a scissor lift.
It's cool to see more guys in the contracting business contemplating if they're called to leadership in the church now too, because
Yeah,
well, that's one half of the skills I need.
right. Yeah, and it's so cool to see finally Jonathan Edwards' sermons delivered in the style of Michael Jackson.
Jonathan Michael Jackson Edwards.
There was it was low hanging fruit, and it just makes
Yeah,
sense that
for so
Oh,
much
yeah.
of church history, it's
Yeah.
just when is somebody going to do
It's low hanging fruit, but boy, you got to get up there to get it. you
Right.
know?
now we can finally reach the heights.
Yeah, and I
of
like
this
that.
low hanging fruit.
And if I'm being honest, some people have critiqued the trumpet blasts when he does it, but
Yeah.
me personally, I like it.
I like it too. I think it's. I can't. At this point, I can't imagine my pastor delivering a sermon on a scissor lift.
not on a scissor lift?
Right. Oh no, I'm sorry. delivering a sermon on a scissor lift without the trumpet blast.
Oh, right. Oh, I see.
Right.
Of course.
Because it's like, okay, yeah, we got used to the scissor lift thing where we're going to add on and stuff. I do have an idea that if you could pass it along to them, it'd be cool, would be on the banner should be a rocket ship at some point. But
Yeah, that's I will.
never mind. I don't like it. It's dumb. I don't care about it, actually.
I've already. I'll put it on a little sheet of paper, and I'll use
Yeah.
some stick figures, and just sort of demonstrate the idea,
Yes.
and slip that in the offering box.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't have a monetary gift this week, but
And
here's an
don't-
idea.
Yeah,
So
don't put it in there like you're telling him to do it. Put a big question mark at the end of your
Right.
drawing.
Or like a stick figure in the shape of a question mark.
That's a
that
good
might
one.
one day become
Like a snaky stick
yeah.
figure.
My stick figures I think, will soon become letters.
Yeah, mine
Words.
are. I'm hoping my clouds become stick figures.
Thanks so much for listening. This has been Advanced Answering Techniques, and you can have us treat your questions this way simply by sending them to advancedansweringtechniques@gmail.com. We're looking for an audio file of about a minute in length. Send those along.
Big note here. I don't know if this is why we don't get that many submissions
Yeah.
or why it's so few people, but it is free. It's completely
It's
free.
completely free,
You don't have to pay anything for us to treat your questions the way we do.
as
No,
opposed
man.
to go ahead.
Oh, I was unaware that it was free.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been keeping that from Caleb.
Yeah. We've been sending Caleb money as the questions come in
Here's your share,
to
Caleb.
keep up the facade.
Okay, so that money, I can't count on that money anymore, huh?
No,
Okay.
definitely not.
Well, c'est la vie.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.